never quite understood who Annie was. And why did it matter if she was okay or not?
Who is Annie? I never knew that as a kid. Let me know who Annie is.
Over in this corner, there was a green fiberglass case, and there was a CPR dummy in the case.
Good morning. As you heard, the first session was on making innovation happen. This one is that collaboration breeds innovation. I'm going to talk about both. But first, what is this word innovation? We all talk about it, but do we agree what it means? I think most people would say that innovation, that's about new technology, new products. I think it's something much more. Innovation is first and foremost about impact. In the next 15 minutes, while you're listening to me, some 500 people around the world will suffer preventable deaths. Each one of those are a big tragedy, of course, to the victim, to the family, to the friends, but also to society at large. Each save bring great joy and a broader perspective on life. Like this 2-year-old. He was found with head under the water, blue, lifeless. He had been kept afloat only thanks to a pocket of air that was trapped in his raincoat. He was discovered by his father just in time. His father grabbed him, intuitively shook him vigorously, made the boy vomit water, and after some seconds the boy started to breathe. This was in 1954. The boy was me. My father was a toy manufacturer at the time, and he had just introduced the Anadol, which became an international success due to his lifelikeness. A few years later, he learned about groundbreaking discoveries that redefined death. From a moment of time when breathing or heartbeat stopped, to a process starting a few minutes later when the brain cells were deprived of oxygen. Importantly, he also learned that with a new rescue technique called mouth-to-mouth breathing, this dying process could be reversed. Saving me probably meant that he had added motivation to now try to make a life-size, lifelike doll or a mannequin to help disseminate this new technique. But how could it be made in a way that would be appealing enough to prepare lay people to blow into a stranger? In particular, if that stranger was supposed to be dead. Luck often strikes the prepared mind, and I guess he had a aha moment when he looked at this sculpture, which was actually hanging on the wall in the living room of my grandparents. This is a death mask from a young girl who was found drowned in the River Seine in Paris in the late 19th century. As was customary at the time, a die cast was made of her face for identification purposes. This was before photography was introduced. Her identity was never found, but her peaceful, enigmatic smile kept intriguing painters and authors for decades to come. Several stories were written about what might have happened to this young girl. Albert Camus, the French novelist, referred to her as the drowned Mona Lisa. So my father also got intrigued about this story, this beautiful face, And he asked a Danish sculptor to model a functional face for his mannequin that could then bring the face of death to be the face of life. The face of modern resuscitation. With the help of a local anesthesiologist, Bjørn Lind, and Peter Safar from Baltimore, who was the researcher who discovered the mouth-to-mouth method, he developed the mannequin, and it was introduced in 1960, Resuscian. At this point of time, I think this mannequin could be called an invention. But for it to also become an innovation, it needed to be taken into widespread use and to be of significant practical value. So he funded Dr. Bjørn Lind to conduct a study among 6,500 school children in Stavanger region. And that proved that with this mannequin, school children could be taught the new rescue technique much more efficiently than by traditional methods. And with this evidence at hand, he succeeded to convince the Norwegian Saving Banks Association to donate 700 mannequins to all primary schools in Norway. Norway became the first country in the world to have compulsory training in mouth-to-mouth breathing. That's impact. Now we can talk about innovation. 50 years on, the American Heart Association estimated that over 400 million people had been trained in CPR. And CPR is a method, or stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It's the combination of mouth-to-mouth breathing and external cardiac compression. CPR is widely recognized as one of the most significant public health initiatives in the last 2 generations. Annie, or Resuscian, has become a household name. And yes, Michael Jackson, Annie is okay. Actually, she may have helped, and I say helped, save more than 2 million lives, again according to estimates by the American Heart Association. Survival vary greatly. Some parts, even of the most developed countries like the USA or in Europe, have only 1% survival from pre-hospital cardiac arrest. Others, like Stavanger, being one of the best cities in the world to have a heart attack, can show 30% survival. Why this dramatic difference? The medical science is shared with everybody. The textbooks are more or less the same. Even the equipment in the ambulances in the hospitals are largely the same. And then there is a 30-fold difference in survival. That has been researched, and it's been shown that the reason is very big differences in the efficiency of education and the efficiency of implementation. So without efficient implementation, there is little impact. There is little innovation. About 6 years ago, I visited some rural hospitals in Tanzania. I saw babies dying right in front of me. Newborns that could be saved with very simple help if there was a trained and equipped birth attendant. I learned that 2 million babies and 100,000 mothers die every year due to lack of this help. That 99% of those deaths occur in low-resource settings. And even more dramatic, I learned that 1 million babies are wrongly classified as stillborn while they are still alive. like this one. This baby girl was born in Lesotho. She's obviously looking lifeless. She's blue. But the tragedy is that she might well have a heartbeat and be savable when this photo was taken. That was my aha moment. I realized that we could achieve much more relative to our mission of helping save lives by focusing on, in addition to the cardiac arrest and traffic accidents and what have you, focusing on the needs of day of birth in low-resource settings. So we were very prepared when we were invited by the American Academy of Pediatrics to join a project to develop a program that could make life-saving dramatically easier to learn and to remember. What resulted was the Helping Babies Breathe program. And for this program, we developed this baby simulator. Does it look like the one on the photo? Well, this has 3 features, because there are 3 things you'll need to learn in this course. First is the baby crying? The next is the baby breathing. And you may be able to see that when I squeeze a bulb, this baby is breathing. Now it's breathing normally. Now it's breathing irregularly. And now there is no breathing. But even if there is no breathing, even if there is no crying, this baby may still be alive. It may have a heart activity. And on babies, that is felt by 2 fingers on the umbilical cord. And I can even reproduce that as a facilitator or instructor by squeezing this bulb. So I can present a case where the birth attendants will have a weak, slow pulse. But when they do the right things, I can increase the rate and I can make it stronger, responding just like a baby. So by now there are 50,000 of these in use in developing countries. And the course has so far reached 130,000 birth attendants trained. The goal is to train over 1 million by 2015. I can pass this around and you can have the feel for yourself. And you may squeeze this so that I know there's some life out there. Meanwhile, let me show you, this is what this course is about. Teaching has been far too complicated. Many of the people to be trained are illiterate. There is no sense of urgency in these countries. So we applied the analogy of the traffic light, and the situation is that 90% of all babies, be it in Stavanger or in Lesotho or in Tanzania, Bangladesh, 90% are born and start to cry spontaneously, and then they breathe. They need routine care. They are well off, they are in the green traffic sector. Means go. 10% start out in the yellow traffic light sector. And in our communities, they get the help needed because it's simple. But if they don't get the help needed, the light may change to red instead of to green. So this course is about the 3 or 4 steps to move the baby from yellow to green. And time is precious. We're talking about the golden minute. There is 1 minute that the light will stay in yellow, then it will change. If we do nothing, it will change to red, the baby will die. If we do the right things, we will hear cry, and the baby will start to breathe. Now, how do we teach people this? In countries where there is no sense of urgency, and where the birth attendants may not have any watches, that time is precious. Well, the first simulation exercise in this course is to ask everybody to hold their breath for 1 minute. To demonstrate the impact of this, I invite you all to hold your breath for 1 minute. I will count to 3, take a deep breath, and hold your breath till I say stop. All right? Everyone? 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. "50 seconds to go. Hold your breath. So as you start to get problems, raise your hand, but hold your breath if you can. We have 45 seconds to go. All right, we have the first hands coming up. I think we can stop it here. We want all of you to survive this session. But I think it demonstrates the fact, actually, when we go through the full minute, which I've done repeatedly, about 90% have to give up. And then you ask the people to reflect a little. How do you think the baby feels? The baby has not, like you, been sitting quietly and relaxed. The baby has been through a strenuous labor. So if I asked you all to go out and run up and down the stairs 2 or 3 times and come back and now hold your breath, you think it will be more difficult? Probably yes. That baby needs oxygen. The implementation of this program really took on in 2010 when USAID invited Save the Children and NIH, in addition to Laerdal and the American Academy of Pediatrics, to come on board a global development alliance with one single purpose: to really massively go out and strongly implement this program. As I said, the goal is to train 1 million birth attendants by 2015, and I think we can do it. So now we're starting to talk real impact. Can you imagine training 1 million birth attendants and each of them saving 1 life per year? That would be innovation. And here you see, by the way, training going on in Tanzania. And Tanzania is showing, based on a study that is looking at 80,000 deliveries post-implementation, is showing a 47% reduction in birth asphyxia or early death, excuse me. So with the tremendous interest in this program, we made a similar program to address the #1 killer of mothers on day of birth, uncontrolled bleeding. And for that purpose, we made a similar simulator called Mama Natalie that is worn like an apron and that delivers the other newborn baby. We have set an ambitious goal at Laerdal, saving or helping, that's the key word, helping save 500,000 lives per year, every year by 2020. It sounds a staggering number. I'm convinced we can do it. And why? Because it's all a matter of helping. With these collaboration, with these partnerships I talked about, we can achieve so much more than we can do alone. We can innovate. Collaboration breeds innovation. So, let me end where I started. Innovation is all about impact. My father, who saved me, would have turned 100 next month. So please allow me to dedicate this talk to him. Thank you very much.